So, hello there, and welcome back to another Night of the Movies podcast. I'm Sprite Knight, and in these podcasts, I love talking on things, movies and TV, and whatever I want, whenever I want. And in today's podcast, I'm reviewing Mickey 17. So, let's get into it, shall we? Mickey 17 is this new sci-fi film starring Robert Pattinson, Naomi Ackie, Stephen Yeun, Toni Collette, and Mark Ruffalo. And this is the new film directed by Bong Joon-ho. Now, if you don't know who Bong Joon-ho is, he has previously directed the likes of Snowpiercer, the Snowpiercer film, not the Snowpiercer TV show. I don't know if he's involved in the Snowpiercer TV show at all, but he directed the Snowpiercer film, which I think is brilliant. He also directed the likes of Memories of Murder, Okja, The Host, and his latest film before this was Parasite. Parasite, which, if I remember correctly, won the Oscars for Best Original Screenplay, Best Director, and Best Picture at the 2019 Oscars. I remember watching Parasite and being floored by it. Like, the first time I saw it, I wasn't quite sure what to think about it, but it taken over my mind. I couldn't stop thinking about the film, you know. And then I went to go and watch it again and I thought, oh my god, this is a masterpiece. And I absolutely love Parasite. And because I love Parasite so much, I was very excited about Bong Joon-ho's follow-up. I haven't seen loads of Bong Joon-ho's films. I was planning to watch more of them last week, but life got in the way, so I haven't. But from the two films I have seen from him, I've seen Snowpiercer and Parasite, I can say that I think his films are unlike so many films that I've seen, period. I was about to say that I've seen over the past couple of years. No, just so many films that I've seen, period. He is a very unique director, and in all the ways you want him to be. He makes films that you don't get to see that often. And because Parasite was so different than, so many films that I've seen, I was very excited about his follow-up, which is, of course, this film, Mickey 17. And I was excited about this film for not only the reason that it was directed by Bong Joon-ho, and this is his follow-up to Parasite, but also because the trailers look great. I like seeing Robert Pattinson take on different roles, before this, I think the last role he played was in the Batman, and now this looks completely different than the role he played, as the Batman in the Batman. Plus, I love the concept of the film and its originality. From the trailers, the film screamed originality to me. And I know this film is based on a book, but surprise, surprise, I haven't read the book that this film is based on. So to me, this is a completely original concept, and I thought it looked like it's going to be a wildly entertaining time at the cinema. So that is why I went to go and see the film at the cinema yesterday, and I went to go and see the film at the cinema with a spring in my step. And the IMDb plot synopsis for the film goes as follows. Mickey 17, played by Robert Pattinson in this film, who plays multiple characters, multiple versions of himself in this film. Mickey 17, known as an expendable, goes on a dangerous journey to colonize an ice planet. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the film before seeing it. I mean, there's a lot more to it, but that's pretty much all you need to know about the film. That's the gist of the film, which you need to know about before seeing it. And honestly, here's the thing about this film. I think I liked it, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about it overall. Like, the first half of the film, I found myself sucked into. I was really engaged in what was going on, and then something happened about halfway through the film where it sort of abandoned its main concept, the whole concept of there being multiple Mickeys. Not to go into too many spoilers, but that is in the trailer. You're basically seeing that there's two Mickeys. So yeah, and the whole idea of the film is that this character called Mickey, played by Robert Pattinson in the movie, played by multiple Robert Pattinson in the film, should I say, he keeps dying over and over again, but then it turns out at one point there's two Mickeys and there shouldn't be two Mickeys, and so that's a really great idea, and that's what I thought I was going to get more of when I went into the film. But then the film changed direction about halfway through, and it became about something else. I'm sorry if you can hear some sound effects right now. The bin men have decided to come just as I'm recording this review today. But yeah, the film changed its direction, and I didn't love the direction it went in. I loved the first half of the film, but the second half of the film, there were parts that I loved, but ultimately I didn't love where the second half of the film went, and I did get to the end of the film, and it couldn't help but feel slightly disappointed and slightly dissatisfied. Not that I didn't have a good time when I was watching the film. There were wild parts to it, and there were exciting parts to it, there were really funny parts to it, there were all these great parts to the movie, but when I got to the end of the film, I felt like something was missing, and I can't quite put my finger on what was missing. What would have made it what would have made it great? Because I do think this film falls short of being great. And maybe it's because the film, in my opinion, is a little too long. And maybe it's because it changed direction. Or maybe it's because I didn't love all the storylines. Like, Stephen Yeun is great in the film, but I didn't like his storyline. I never really got into it, and I didn't get the purpose of it. And maybe that's another problem I have with this movie. Maybe that's another reason it didn't click for me. And maybe because I didn't fully understand what the film was actually about. And maybe I didn't love it as well because it changed direction, and when it changed direction I became less engaged in what was going on. So I felt that this film was missing something, and maybe it was actually missing quite a few things, because now that I think about it more, it didn't leave me with a lasting emotional impact. It didn't leave me with much of an impact. I remember coming out of Parasite, and like I said earlier on in this review today, I couldn't stop thinking about Parasite after I watched it. But I only saw Mickey 17 about 12 hours ago now, and I haven't thought loads about it. I have thought about it a bit, but not nearly as much as I was hoping to think about it. It didn't leave me with this impact that I wanted it to. And I do feel it could have been tighter, and I feel the film loses its way, and I just don't think it quite reaches the heights of greatness that I was hoping it would get to, because I think Bong Joon-ho has set the bar a little too high with Parasite. Like, Parasite, in my opinion, is a modern masterpiece. And whilst this film is good and worth a watch, it doesn't get to the heights of a modern masterpiece. And I think that's because it's trying to grapple with so many ideas, and it's changing direction from scene to scene, well, sometimes from scene to scene, but often from section to section. And it's doing all this, and it's doing all very well. It's exploring these ideas very well, but it just doesn't quite... It doesn't leave you with loads to think about. At least it didn't leave me with loads to think about, and I was hoping for more from it, because I don't think I totally understood it. However, then again, I did enjoy myself watching the film. I did not think it was a bad watch. It's a very peculiar film, but then again, the Bong Joon-ho films that I've seen in the past, and from what I've heard of his other movies, they're all peculiar as well. It's no surprise that this is also a peculiar film, and there were so many parts of it which I truly admired. Like, I loved the look of this film. This film looks incredible, and I mean incredible with a capital I. Like, just the way the cinematography looks. I mean, it's stunning the way this film is shot, and the CGI is authentic in all the ways you want it to be. Like, I'm not going to go into too many details, but there's these creatures you see in the film. I forgot they're called. I think they're called creepers. There's these creatures called... Let's say they're called creepers for the sake of this review. If I got that name wrong, I'll correct myself there in the captions, but if I haven't, well, there we go. Anyway, yeah, I think they're called creepers in the film, and the CGI on the creepers looked so believable to the point that I actually thought they were real. I thought they'd used animatronics, and then apparently they hadn't. That was all CGI. So yeah, I loved the look of the film. I thought the performances were magnetic. Robert Pattinson made me believe that he was actually speaking in this accent. Like, he's got this accent in the film which sounds like Joe Pesci from Goodfellas or Casino. And when the film started, I thought, oh, I'm not going to love that accent. I thought it was really going to be on my nerves throughout the film. No, I didn't care about it about 5 minutes into the film. It struck me a bit when the film started, like, oh, I'm not going to love his accent as the film goes on. Didn't bother me whatsoever, and I thought Robert Pattinson was great. I love seeing the range of Robert Pattinson, because for the longest time, people just thought it was a kid from Twilight. But if you watch other films he's in, like Good Time, I think it's called Good Time, the Safdie brothers movie, or like Tenet, the Christopher Nolan film, or like The Batman, you see that, or like this film as well, you see that he's a actor who's got a wide range, and he is brilliant in the film. Although in my opinion the best performance is from Naomi Ackie. Naomi Ackie is someone I first came across. She was in Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. I had to give a Star Wars reference in there because I'm a big Star Wars fan. If you don't believe me, look behind me. I first came across her in that film. I thought she was good in Star Wars. She wasn't given much to do, but I thought she was okay. She has shown herself to be a fantastic actor over the past couple of years. You know, she played Whitney Houston in the Whitney Houston biopic. She was in Zoe Kravitz's directorial debut, Blink Twice, which I just watched again recently, and I think is a much better film than I initially gave it credit for. And now she's in this, and I think she is doing a brilliant job acting alongside these actors who've been around the business for a long while. Like, she's in scenes alongside Robert Pattinson, who's actually been around for a long while now when you think about it. And she's holding her own. She's acting in scenes alongside Toni Collette and Mark Ruffalo, and also holding her own. She was really the standout in the film for me. I can't wait to see what she does next, because I was surprised by how compelling I found her performance to be. And Mark Ruffalo is so good in the film. He's so good. Apparently Bong Joon-ho says that the character Mark Ruffalo is based on no political figures out in the world right now. And that might be the case. Maybe Bong Joon-ho wrote the film that way or directed the film that way with no political figures in mind. However, when you watch the film, you can tell that Mark Ruffalo is invoking a certain political leader that you may be seeing a lot in the news right now with his performance. I loved Mark Ruffalo in the film because I hated him so much, but I thought Mark Ruffalo played that character brilliantly. And there was so much that I liked about the film. So many moments that I found funny and I was laughing out loud. So many moments that I found exciting. So many moments that I found emotionally heartbreaking. And then moments that I found heartwarming. There was so many great parts of the film, but it fell short of greatness for me because I was hoping for more. I was hoping to come out of the film with a sort of different view on life, and maybe that's too much to ask for, but I remember coming out of Parasite and my world had almost been turned upside down. I hadn't seen a film like that in such a long time. I hadn't seen a film like that ever really before I saw Parasite. And I was hoping to get that from this film. And I'm not saying there isn't great merit to be found in this film, because there definitely is. But I also think it doesn't help that Bong Joon-ho has set the bar so high for himself that anything that falls short of Parasite ultimately kind of ends up feeling disappointing. And I feel that's what happened with this film. There's a lot to like about it, and you know what? I will probably watch it again, but I'm also afraid to watch it again because I don't know what I'll feel about it I don't know how I'll feel about it on a second time. I'm afraid I'll dislike it, but then again, I might like it more. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes I watch it for a second time, I think I'm going to dislike it more, end up loving it. So I don't know, but I'm not quite sure what to make the film overall. I know that I liked it. I know that I enjoyed it because I remember having a good time watching this in the cinema. But I also know that the film started to slip away from me in its second half. It didn't completely slip away from me. I didn't get to the end of the film and think, thank God that was over. But I did get to the end of the film thinking, I wish I felt more here. You know? Because I kind of felt empty at the end of the movie. And I didn't want to feel that way. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. But it's not great. And I think that's its big weakness. At least for me. And so, all in all, I'm going to say that Mickey 17, I'm going to say it's a 7 out of 10. I'm giving it that rating because the film because I'm not quite sure what to make of the film as a whole, if I'm being completely honest. The more I think about it, the more it just confuses me. Like, there's so much, I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again, there's so much I loved about the film, but there's so many parts of it which just confused me, and I wasn't quite sure what it was going for. I did admire how it changed its tone so often, and how the film changed direction from sometimes from scene to scene, or sometimes in a scene. Like, I'm not going to give anything away, but there's a scene that takes place at a dinner table in this film, which I thought was absolutely brilliant. But I was hoping for more of that, and I don't know what it was, the second half of the film really felt like it was missing something. It felt like it didn't really know what it wanted to be, but then it did at the same time. I don't really know. I need to think about this film more, but yeah, I enjoyed the first half quite a bit, and I'll part to the second half, which I liked a lot as well. I just wish I loved the film overall, and I wish I thought that it was great. But I didn't. And I don't think I did because I didn't particularly love the direction that it went with in the second half. Yeah. But then again, maybe if I watch this film again, I'll feel differently. And maybe I'll love it more, or maybe I'll dislike it more on a second time. But for now, I thought this was a good film, just not a great film, which is a bit disappointing to say. But still, you know, this film, it's worth a watch. And I'm definitely glad it exists, you know? And so, all in all, as what I said before, and as I'm going to say once more in today's podcast, I forgot what the name of the film was then. Mickey 17 is a 7 out of 10 from me. Anyway, guys, that's it for today's podcast. If you have seen Mickey 17, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. And as always, thank you for watching or listening to this podcast. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like and subscribe on this podcast. And look forward to many more podcasts and many more videos coming very, very soon on this channel. As I've already said, thank you so much for watching or listening to this podcast, and I will see you guys again soon. But bye for now. Bye.